Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Gurok here, your casual gamer dad, coming at you guys with another Final Fantasy XIV job review video. This is episode 7. I think I've got the number right this time. And we are coming at you guys with none other than the original edgelord, the numero uno emo high school kid, the DarkKnight. So I just need to start off by saying I am not anywhere near the best DarkKnight player. I am not the most knowledgeable. I only ever played DarkKnight to level it, just to have it. But I never really got into the nitty-gritty of it. So if my knowledge on DarkKnight seems to be a little bit lacking compared to some of the other tanks, I do apologize. It's just the way it is. But we've managed to get DarkKnight leveled up to 90 in record time. I've run a few endgame dungeons on it, and I've done a couple of the end trials as well. Nothing too substantial, but I think I've got enough of a feel of the job to really give my opinions on it and make this video for you all. So here we are. Let me turn on my UI here, just because, wow, stuff everywhere. So first of all, keeping in you can't see my chat, which is good. Someone just whispered me, I didn't know. Hold on. Anyhow, so keeping in with the form, we'll start with my overall thoughts and opinions on DarkKnight. DarkKnight is the tank that I want to like. I want to like DarkKnight. I want to like it so much, but it's just missing. I don't know what it's missing. That's the problem. I don't know what it's missing. It's just missing something. It's missing something to make it as smooth or fluid or just as durable, I guess, as the other tanks, or at least Paladin and Warrior so far. And this isn't just me talking as a Warrior simp. This is me talking as just someone who enjoys the tanking role as a whole. And so far with Warrior and Paladin at level 90, I don't worry about getting dropped in dungeon content because it's dungeon content and it's easy, but also because I have the tools to keep myself alive. DarkKnight, not so much. I was very nervous about leveling DarkKnight. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was, but it was definitely... I definitely had some raised pulses compared to, say, Paladin or Warrior. I died a few times in dungeons, which was kind of embarrassing. Living Dead kind of backfired on me once or twice. I'll get into that in a minute when I review the skills. But overall, I mean, DarkKnight is definitely a fun job. It is fun. Overall, I would give it like an 8.5 out of 10, though. I would give it a 9 to a 9.5 out of 10 if it just had that something that it's missing. Or even if I knew what that something was that it was missing. I just don't know what it is. I think it comes from the fact that DarkKnight just doesn't really have an identity compared to the other tanks. You know, like Paladins are the, they mix up physical with magical damage. They have self and party support, and they have banana sandwich physical, not resistance, physical defenses and mitigations. Warriors are the aggressive, self-sustaining tanks. Like, you cannot kill a warrior. That's just how it is. I'm still unsure about Gunbreakers yet, just because I have not leveled Gunbreaker yet, but that's next. But DarkKnights have always, even since Heavensward, have always been in this weird spot of what do they do and what do they do well. Now, it's true, right now, DarkKnights are the tanks that do the most damage, so naturally, people will say, well, they're the damage tank right now. Well, yeah, that's right now, but that could change in a patch, that could change next expansion, and then what are they left with, right? Now, I will say, due to some of the defensives that they have, and I'll go over those in a minute, it does seem kind of on the surface that they're the tank that is supposed to mitigate magic damage. But to be 100% honest with you, and I can't speak for this tier of Savage or Ultimate, but in the past there hasn't been enough magic damage from enemies to really warrant having a tank that revolves around reducing magic damage. You know what I mean? It's just been kind of like, especially now where just about all of the tanking cooldowns are homogenized and they just straight up reduce damage, just no matter what it is, it's just damage reduction. It just seems kind of irrelevant to have something to specifically reduce magic damage, if you catch my drift. So I think that's kind of what stole it away for me from DarkKnight, and also just how hectic their opener can be, because they have so many OG CDs. They have so many off global cooldowns to weave in. It's very easy to mess it up and be like, oh crap, and now everything's just thrown all out of whack. That does mean that if you have that higher understanding of the job, you can really excel, and a good DarkKnight is good. So take what I say in regards to all of those things I just mentioned and kind of make your own judgment call. For me personally, DarkKnight, I want to love it. I love the animations, I love the armor, I love the style, but I can't make myself love it. I just can't. I definitely can't. It's definitely my least favorite tank so far of them all, but that's not saying much, because I do love all of the tanks so far, and we'll see how the judgment goes once I get Gunbreaker too. So yeah, 8.5 out of 10 for now, right now. That could change, we'll see. Now as far as skills and abilities, new things that they got versus old things that got changed. So remember in my last video how I mentioned that this seems to be this running trend of, as I go from job to job, I'm seeing more skills that are just existing skills that just get upgraded instead of giving us new abilities, and maybe it's to avoid hotbar bloat or whatever, which is fine, and I don't mind that. I kind of take that back for DarkKnight because DarkKnight actually does get quite a few new abilities every few levels. There are some upgrades, but let me go over those real quick. So keeping in line with the tanks, DarkKnights do get a new tanking cooldown at level 82. Now this is probably the weakest level 82 out of them all so far. I mean, Paladins got Holy Sheltron, which is an amazing ability. Warriors get Bloodwetting. I mean, I will put Bloodwetting on every tanking role, on every job, period, because it's that good of a cooldown. And Dark Knights get Oblation. I don't know what to say about this. It's nice. It's okay. I mean, it's 10% damage reduction. You can put it on you. You can put it on somebody else if you want. It's got 60-second cooldown, lasts for 10 seconds, and you get 2 charges. So you can pop off 2 of them within the span of 60 seconds and be covered for 20 seconds, I guess. It's, again, it's like a nice to have, but you're never really ever going to use this cooldown on its own and, like, save your life. It's just going to kind of be there that you augment other cooldowns with. You're going to pair it with something. Not TBN, obviously, because you want to take the most damage that you can from TBM so that it breaks, but that's a whole different thing. Next, at 84, you get the usual trait, melee mastery. All the tanks get this at 84. We also get enhanced unmend. Reduces the recast time of your gap closer plunge by 5 seconds. It's I guess it's nice. I never really saw any of the benefit of it while leveling, but maybe I just didn't notice it. And I mean, you're not really gonna weave in unmends into your rotation unless you're disengaging from a boss, and you've gotta, you gotta keep your ABCs always be casting, right? So I guess that's nice, but that's about it, really. At level 86, they get sort of like an enhancement. It's a new ability, but it's also an enhancement to Salted Earth. It's called Salt and Darkness. This ability is kind of like after you cast Salted Earth, you kind of make it explode. It just does a bunch of damage to, your primary target and then any other targets within your death circle. It's pretty nice. It's good. I mean, it's free damage. instant cast, got 20-second cooldown. Now, you will only ever get one cast of this off per Salted Earth. So, I mean, having it on a 20-second cooldown seems kind of silly, but I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, it's nice. It's a free damage. It is what it is. It's pretty cool. I can't really complain about it. It's nice. Not the strongest thing, but it's there. At 88, more traits. Enhanced Living Shadow just increases the damage your shadow does. Literally, that's all it is. Just boosts it up to 300 potency, which is nice. It's okay. It's just more damage. And then, of course, our level 90 skill is Shadowbringer. It's another OGCD. You get 2 charges, 60-second cooldown overall. Does a ton of damage in a straight line, so it'll hit your main target and then anything else aligned with it. It's very, very similar to Flood of Shadow, just bigger buku damage, and you have to be under the effects of Darkside, so you can't use it until you use Edge of Shadow or Flood of Shadow, or your TBN breaks. But does a lot of damage. It's pretty nice. Don't really have much else to say about it, but we also get a level 90 trait that further increases our Living Shadow, which as you can see here, it upgrades Flood of Shadow executed by your Simulacrum to Shadowbringer. So instead of Flood of Shadow being used by your Shadow, it now just uses Shadowbringer straight up, which delivers attack all enemy straight line with it, with a potency of 450 and 200. So it's just like a weaker version of your own, but it's still good damage. That is pretty much the main things. That's all of what DarkKnight basically got through the leveling journey. Older skill set got changed. Now this is a big thing because much like with the Paladin, why I waited until 6.1. When 6.1 hit, DarkKnight's got a few goodies. And I talked about it in my Endwalker 6.1 patch review, which I'll link in the description down below. I think I said that on the last video and I didn't, so I'm sorry, but I will do it on this one. But yeah, like some of the things that they got changed were okay. They weren't. So this one actually came with Endwalker as a whole, not with 6.1, but Salted Earth used to be a targeted, like a ground target thing. Now, use it. Oh, it just happens right on where you're standing. And then, of course, we can see the Salt and Darkness ability. Bloom. And that's about it. But you used to have to ground target with it, which was kind of nice because you could use it as like a pre-pull. But at the same time, it was also aggravating because when you were using it during a fight, it's very easy to fat finger it, and like then you've got an off-centered Salted Earth, and then you got to reposition. It's a pain in the butt. But that's one of the things that they've changed. This came with Endwalker, not 6.1. Living Dead change came with 6.1. This is a big one. I talked about this in my review, but we'll talk about it again. So Living Dead has for a very long time been heralded as the worst tanking cooldown. Just straight up. And I agree, it was awful. It used to be you proc it, when you use it, you gain the effect of Living Dead, where if you take a hit that would normally kill you, instead of being KO'd, you get another buff called the Walking Dead. Walking Dead would, the whole thing would last like 10 seconds, but then when you procced Walking Dead would last an additional 10 seconds, and you had to heal yourself all the way up to max HP in order to remove Walking Dead and prevent yourself from dying. Because if 10 seconds went up and you hadn't healed up all the way, you just dropped dead. You're dead. That's it. And this was very, very easy to flub up if your healer was not prepared for it. So you had to really communicate with your healers to be like, hey, Living Dead's up, top me off, and make sure they had like a Benny or something for you. With 6.1, they made it a little bit better. So you can see here by reading the description, it still acts very similar, where you gain the effect of Living Dead. It would prevent you from dying if you hit 0 HP, or what would turn you to 0 HP. Instead of dying, you gain Walking Dead. But this time is when you proc Walking Dead, okay, you now gain the effect. I think you just gain this effect while you have Living Dead, period. But you gain a Restore HP effect with each weapon skill with a potency of 1500. 1500 cure potency is out of control. That is a lot of healing. It is a ton of healing. It is so good. Now, this doesn't mean that you're going to solo heal yourself up to full. You will need a little bit of assistance from your healer, but it's still there. And I mean, if you're doing a dungeon pull and you've got the double pack on you, you blow Living Dead, this one you should be able to heal yourself all the way up as long as you have like a couple, what's it called, quietus? Yeah, a couple quietuses in the bank, a couple AoEs, boom. Because you have to keep in mind, you have to read the tooltip. It says each weapon skill cast. Now you could be like, well, just do your AoE combo, Garok. No. Unleash and Stalwart Soul. These two abilities, if you look at them, okay? Look at Hard Slash. Look at Soul Eater. Look at Siphon Strike. What do those say? That says weapon skill, right? What do these two say? Spells. They are not weapon skills. So you cannot spam your AoE combo and expect to get healing out of it during Living Dead. It won't work. So that's why I say you will need some assistance from your healer. But it's better. It is better than what it was, because if you heal yourself to full while under the effect of Walking Dead, you now gain another buff called Undead Rebirth, which means, which basically states that most attacks will not lower your HP below 1. So you proc Living Dead, or you cast Living Dead, you get your healing, something smashes you, you would normally die, you gain Walking Dead, you start healing yourself all the way up, you get topped off, the remaining duration of Walking Dead turns into Undead Rebirth, and for that entire duration, whether it's 8 seconds to 2 seconds, if something smashes you again, instead of killing you, it'll stop your 1 HP. I mean, that doesn't mean, you know, don't heal me during this, but it's in a better place than what it was. It's much more better, and it allows you to use it a lot more aggressively. Still kind of missing out a little bit though. It's still a little weak. You can still flub it up. I've seen it happen. It happened to me a couple times. You know, healers get a little too green DPS happy, and next thing you know, you're dead. Because you just couldn't self heal yourself, man. It happens. It is what it is. And the only other really big change that I can think of that DarkKnight's got was Stalwart Soul. Stalwart Soul used to be learned at level 70, which was kind of weird and kind of silly. Like, having an AoE combo of literally just spamming Unleash, and then once you unlocked it, Quietus, and not being able to use another secondary AoE ability till level 70 was silly. So they dropped it down. It's now level 40. It's perfect. It's great. Not a big change, but it's nice. Not much else has changed between Shadowbringers and Endwalker for DarkKnights, other than they do the most damage out of all the tanks now. A lot has changed since Heaven's Ward. They got rid of a lot of abilities. Again, like I said, I really only played DarkKnight during Heaven's Ward and Stormblood just to get it leveled, so I'm not really going to speak on what was lost and what used to be different as a whole, just because I don't know enough, and I don't want to give you guys false information. So we're going to move on to the next part where style, obviously, awesome. All just like DarkKnights have probably some of the best looking weapons in the game. There are, like, I have seen very few greatswords that I did not like. Most of the greatswords that they have are phenomenal, and the armor, I mean, obviously I'm wearing my PvP armor right now, which fits a DarkKnight perfectly, but also their job armor, even for this expansion, looks pretty hot. I'm pretty sure I still have it here somewhere. Don't judge my it's glamored. Well, you won't be able to see how it looks because it's glamored, and I can't reset the glamour right now, so I'm sorry. Take my word for it, Dark Knight armor just has always looked really cool. So definitely 10 out of 10 for style points, I'll give them that, and their animations are cool. I gotta admit, I absolutely love the Blood Spiller animation. Blood Spiller is probably one of my favorite ability animations in the game. Despite how anime it is, it's awesome. Overall opinions, pros, cons, stuff like that, oh boy. You know, like I said, Dark Knight is a good tank. It is fun. It's stressful though, and it's, for me, it's just missing something. I can't really put my finger on what it is. I wish I could, but I can't. Not right now, anyway. But would I suggest playing Dark Knight? Absolutely, but not as your first tank. Do not play it as your first tank. People, oh yeah, okay. Ah! People are doing maps. Seems to happen every time I record a video, huh? Anyway, I would not recommend playing Dark Knight as your first tank. So if you level a class to 50, you get into Heaven's Ward, and then you're like, I want to try tanking. Don't jump into Dark Knight. Play Warrior, play Paladin, try one of those two out, get the feel of tanking, because you will die in dungeons making big pulls if you aren't an experienced tank and know what you're capable of and when to blow what cooldown. Because pretty much until level 80, Dark Knights really only get like 3 or 4 cooldowns. It's pretty gnarly compared to the other tanks. They're at a very big disadvantage. But that's about all the time I got for this video, guys. Those are my honest thoughts and opinions on Dark Knight. It's good, it's fun, but not as fun. My least favorite tank so far as playable goes. But again, like I said, take my opinion as is. It's just an opinion because I'm not anywhere near the best Dark Knight player at all. Period. I will not shy away from admitting that. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys tonight. I hope you enjoyed this. If you like what you saw, please hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more from my channel or you want to see other content from me, please subscribe to my channel. It will help tremendously and it'll let my channel grow a little bit. If you have any comments, opinions, or thoughts or questions or anything of your own, please leave them in the comments down below. I would appreciate them. Try to be civil though. And I will see you guys in the next video. Look forward to it. It's going to be Gunbreaker, the last of our 4 tanks. So thank you very much, guys. You have a good one.